Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's live trading session and trade review session. As always, thank you very much for joining me. We've seen the markets again be quite volatile today. They've been volatile all week. We've seen fairly significant jumps all over the place. We've seen gold rally higher today to where it currently trades around 2056. The currencies have been volatile and moving all over the place. And then with the Dow, we saw the Dow down to 37,460 earlier today on the back of, I believe, the Bank of America results. And then we've seen a recovery from those levels such that we're back near, not too far away from record highs in these markets once again. So the Dow as it stands and the US indices in general are on pace for their 10th winning week in 11. So still very much in that positive, optimistic frame of mind, and we'll talk about that in a little bit during this session. So we're about 8.5 minutes out from the open. Couple of things to say. Number one, if you do have any questions, either post those on your screen or email them to me or Sam at bullandbearcap.com, and I'll endeavour to answer those for you this afternoon. Today's session's going to be a little bit shorter, probably 5 minutes shorter than usual. I have to go and pick somebody up from the airport, so the volume of trading will be lower this afternoon. That's okay. There's been more than enough trades this morning. Timing on some of those has been off. I mean, gold, I've been very wrong on. The Dow earlier this morning in advance of those Bank of America earnings, I had a couple of good or very good trades there with the Dow. The currencies have moved a little bit against me, so when we look at the results in a few minutes, there are a few hits to take against the positive number that I'm showing at the moment, but it will still be a decent and profitable outcome for the week. Couple of days that were particularly difficult, but as I said, the volatility is certainly back this week. We've seen those move. It hasn't all been on trend. It's not been one directional. We've seen movements in both directions. Some quite sharp movements in both directions as well. I think yesterday was another great example of that, with the market selling off before it recovered. It looked very weak at that time. I was happy to jump on that. It went against me, and those trades thankfully have returned to positive today. I think the thing that saved the markets yesterday was the Treasury yields moving back towards that 4% number and giving that market a bit of a lift. One thing in advance of the weekend and the way that this trades out over the remainder of this afternoon, it is Martin Luther King Day on Monday, so we have a long weekend ahead of us. And these markets are already or potentially could finish at record closing levels for each of the three major US indices. The S&P 500, as I wrote this morning, did pass through its record high level yesterday, didn't close above that level, which is the key determinant that we're looking for, but the markets are again looking strong after looking decidedly weak yesterday, after fairly mundane CPI data, potentially a miss on CPI data. PPI today came in a little bit lower than forecast. We haven't seen any particular reaction to that other than this move higher in the last hour or so, and the Dow is continuing to move higher. So we're trading at 37,708. Probably was as high as 780 earlier this morning. But again, going back to the long weekend, Martin Luther King Day on Monday, You also look around and look at some of the factors affecting the markets at the moment. There are still disturbances in the Red Sea with the Houthi rebels that are there. There is continuing tension between China and Taiwan at the moment. Of course, we've had a number of earnings reports. So Bank of America very much a negative and a negative move on the market, but then results and comments from JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon have probably leveled that out a little bit since then. So currently trading towards the high. And let's not forget the type of openings that we've seen during this week, fairly substantial movements to the upside before we see a bit of a sell-off. So just going to go around these markets quickly, update you where we are on them. So with the currency, so gold, let's talk about gold from the beginning. So gold at 2057, as you can see, we've traded higher throughout the course of the day. I am short gold and potentially will be looking to stop that out reasonably quickly after this opening bell. Both trading above the 200 and the 50-day moving average at the moment. So very positive movement with gold, obviously off some of those lows that we saw back at the end of last year. With the currencies, again, weakening of the dollar. So we're seeing both the euro and sterling appreciate. But as I said earlier, during this particular session, we have seen extreme volatility in those. Just yesterday, sterling dipped below 127, rallied back up, and was equally as volatile to the indices yesterday. So I'll keep an eye on those. Short both of those at the moment. Again, both against me, so potential for a stop coming in there fairly quickly, or at least me placing a stop to try and protect those positions. The DAX continues to underperform somewhat. It's currently trading around 16,725, and I think I called it well a couple of times yesterday, maybe once today, but weaker than what we're seeing in the other indices. So I'm just going to open up the Dow now. So I am short Dow. We're currently trading at 37,737. So I am going to sell around these levels, just going to sell there around 738, 739. You should see that just come through on your phone. There is a little bit of a tick higher. We'll just monitor that as we go through to the bell. We're about 90 seconds, maybe a little bit more of that away from the opening bell. So we'll watch this trade through at the beginning. I'll quickly revert to the trades for this week. So again, we're still seeing this bit of optimism coming through, and this is a trend that we've seen repeatedly during the course of this week. So could well be that we sort of see a sharp movement to the upside, which obviously I hope not to see, but there is still a positive move ongoing. So currently trading around 758, 755, and obviously as the bids and offers are coming into this market, changing quite decisively. It would be my belief that based on the fact that we have the long weekend and some of the other things that are out there happening in the world at the moment, that I wouldn't be overly keen on carrying a large position through the weekend. So I'm looking for a bit of profit taking to come through, but for the moment, or for the time being, it's quite the opposite. We're trading back up towards that 37,770 level that we saw earlier, and we're only seconds away from the opening. So I'll continue to monitor this as we go through, and then it'll be a quick switch from this through to the trades from this week. And then, as I've said, if you do have questions, please put those through to me by email or on your screens, and I will endeavour to get back to you. So the market is open, and we're still seeing a bit of buying coming through there. Nothing quite like we've seen for the last couple of days, so still trading around that 760, 770 level. Hoping that we see a bit of selling pressure come in and that this market doesn't go too much higher. We still see a bit of buying coming through and a tick slightly higher. But we're stopping short of that 37,800 level at the moment, and currently trading somewhere between 770 and 780, although there's a slight move above that at the moment. So what I'll do is I'll move away from this screen. I'll keep an eye on it as we're looking at the results for this week, and then I'll come back very quickly to these screens before I have to race out the door. So at the moment, still pushing towards that 800 level. So I'll leave that there. I'll leave that on in the background. Just go through to the trades. So I have 6 trades open, 2, 4, 6, 7 with the trade that I've just put on. As I've mentioned already, going to take a bit of a hit on the remaining trades, and have just taken a hit on those remaining trades. So I'll just hide that. Obviously the market's popped up a little bit. If we go back, we've traded above the 800 level, trading at 805. So the auto stop has triggered. Every chance that could be towards the top end of the market, but we will see shortly. So there's going to be a big change to this P&L. Pay no attention to that at this particular point. In terms of the week, Monday and Wednesday, negative days, taken out by the results on Tuesday, or compensated for by the results on Tuesday. Very good day yesterday, and up until this point had been a very good day today, but the market has obviously moved against me in that last little bit. So just have a quick look back at these markets, still trading higher, up to 37,810. If we see any more momentum, the S&P 500 I'm sure is trading at a record level at the moment. Gold has continued to push higher, so just wrong across the board today. So I'll continue to monitor these trades in relation to how we start the day on Monday. We are in touching distance of that 38,000 level. I had no expectation that we would get to those levels during the course of the day, but it does appear that there is a bit of a possibility. I will leave you here because I have to get to the airport, unfortunately. But I'll update those trades, and the weekly report will be out later today or tomorrow, and we can address some of the gremlins that we had during the course of the mid-morning session that we had today. So a disappointing end to the week. Still a positive week, but a disappointing end. And I will be back to you on Telegram this afternoon, and then we'll be back trading on Monday morning. Thank you very much for joining me.